Hello everyone and welcome to Moonride, where we're channeling the man of the moon. No doubt you are watching the second impeachment of Donald Trump, or at least you're taking a break from that right now. I'm interested in knowing the results of this. I think we're pretty clear that Republicans aren't going to do anything really, or maybe only a couple of them. But I'm really looking at the results, like what's the implications of this event, what the future is going to be looking like. I kind of feel that this is the best thing that could happen. In a sense, the Republicans are going to be forced to confront Donald Trump and the things that he did, and they're going to be forced to choose a side, and they're going to have to live with it. I don't think this is going to be good for the Republican Party, but I'm just going to ask Man Moon here, just try to get my opinion out of there. All right, so move your opinion, Dave. All right, so just generally speaking, is there going to be just anything that we are going to be surprised about, Spirit? Since we feel like we know the outcome. Anything surprising? Lindsey Graham shows up. Something's going to go down for Lindsey Graham. It's funny because there's the Senate, but he's almost like framed in a box. He looks sort of remorseful, like he did something wrong. I think that this is going to have political consequences for Lindsey Graham. And maybe he is just standing in as a sort of example of the political consequences that happen. Lindsey Graham is looking really disappointed. And kind of, looking at his shoes like he's ashamed. I mean, at least in his mind, he knows he's doing the wrong thing. And so I think that that is important. It is important for people to have to confront themselves, especially Republicans at this time. So Lindsey Graham, there are others. Okay, I think this is symbolic of other people because now I'm seeing other figures in the Republican Party. Susan Collins, even Brett Kavanaugh, who are seeming to have some kind of remorse, crisis, spiritual crisis perhaps, and even consequences. Yeah, all of those people, there's like a wolf that sort of entered the chamber. It kind of makes me think of the Q shaman, right? The guy with the horns. There's a wolf that just entered the Senate, and it's like, it's menacing them. So really, they seem afraid. They don't just seem like they're political opportunists. Susan Collins looks like she's afraid of the wolf at the door. And she even, I mean, the wolf could be the Trumpists, but it could also be the reaction. I'm not so sure about that yet. But I guess the point that I want to make is the trial's important because there are consequences. There are consequences that affect people psychologically. There are consequences that will affect these people politically. So what are you going to do? Yeah, the wolf is starting to give me more a feeling of Trump supporters, the Republican Party people. That's what it's starting to look like. You know why? Because Trump's got the leash on the wolf, right? He just showed up with a long leash, like he's gonna sick this on those people, this wolf on them. Now, understand that this is also a fear, right? It may not manifest in reality. Now that I look at the wolf, it actually looks kind of calm. Now, at the same time, it's on Trump's leash, so it feels like it's just waiting for the signal to attack. So they all know that Trump is there waiting to attack them. And so they're going to go against their own interests. They're going to go against the party's interests. They're going to go against the nation's interests because they are afraid. And it really does show you the nature and character of these people. They are not leaders. They're people who act out of fear. So are there any other changes that are going to happen? Okay, I see man with a gavel, like judgment. I get the impression, like, look, this is for the long term. So for 50 years, we're going to have the video of this impeachment. It will serve to undermine the Republican Party for a really long time as a historical document. You might think of the images of the people getting fire hosed during the civil rights movement. Those images just are seared into our brain, and those images change people's minds, right? I'll specifically say, my parents were not aware of the oppression of black people until they saw that, and it really did change their minds. A point I always want to make is that it's not hopeless. Some people's minds will be changed. So here they are. Okay, so they're looking cowardly. Yeah, keep in mind, this may very well be exactly what's supposed to happen. This kind of crisis that we put on TV for everybody to see that exists, always, everything is going to be compared to this. Okay, so what about the outcome? What senators are going to vote to impeach? Liz Cheney is going to vote to impeach. There will be very few people who support her. Ben Sasse looks like he will vote to impeach. Interestingly enough, McConnell looks like he's coming close, but he recedes. So I think that just is McConnell coming out and criticizing Trump and then backing up. That is what I'm seeing, because it's almost like he backs up into the shadow. There will be not very many people who vote to impeach. Very few senators from the right, I should say, that will vote to impeach. Let's see what else. Is there anybody else who's voting to impeach? I get maybe 3 senators voting to impeach. Susan Collins is thinking about it, but again, she's afraid. And I mean, she is afraid for her life. She's afraid that they will kill her. This is not an uncommon experience among senators, from what I've read. So all I get are those 2 for certain. I think there's some others that maybe, their faces aren't as familiar to me. I mean, I'm getting like 4, maybe 5 people who will support Liz Cheney on the right. Now, again, understand the irony of this. Liz Cheney's father is responsible for the beginning of this disinformation program. He's the guy that started out with, fake weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. That resulted in the, deaths of millions of people, horrible injuries, post-traumatic stress. All of these things are the result of her father lying in the media and succeeding because, Fox News would support those kinds of lies. So it is quite ironic that Cheney has been compelled to come forward as the nonviolent person who says the truth. So, we can compliment her for that. But again, I want you to understand that these things have consequences. The consequence of starting a lie and saying they're weapons of mass destruction has led to Liz Cheney now having to stand alone, almost alone, for the truth in her party. So, Spirit, what about the long term? What else is going to be, what's another long-term consequence of this? Okay, Trump. Trump still has power. He can still pull strings. It's not the power that he wants, but he has some mitigated power. So this power is not going to be good for the Republican Party. He will undermine those people who do anything right. Essentially, he'll just undermine anyone that's not a part of his cult. And I've always seen this, that what takes Trump down is money. They may not be able to get him on other issues. They may not be able to jail him on other issues. But tax evasion, that's how they get most mafia dons. It's about the money. And Trump without money is a pathetic Trump. Yeah, and I mean, it'll kill him. The stress of constantly being sued, financial pressures, of losing power, having less and less power, of not being able to use Twitter. There are consequences, and the consequences are just the powerless emotional distress of Donald Trump. And we shouldn't say powerless, it's just diminished in power. That's not something a narcissistic person enjoys. What else? What's the future for the world as a result of this impeachment? We are already seeing major changes. So we can be very optimistic in a sense that finally somebody in America is taking some concern about the planet, and it has unified people. The hatred of Trump has unified the left, and the centrists are even kind of on the left's side. So it has galvanized a whole body of people in a really positive direction. And we've also showing people that you can overcome a fascist dictator. You can maintain your democracy even though it has been attacked. In fact, the attack should move you forward in your reaction to maintain. Okay, is there any other future? Lightning has struck. It's almost like splitting a tree. To me, that feels like the Republican Party, right? The Republican Party is forever split. They will, maybe never will they be able to reunite these forces of the crazy conspiracy theorists and the religious right and the financial right. They may never ever be able to work together again. So really, this is a major long-term victory for justice, as the Republicans are the most dangerous party ever, in my opinion, to exist on the planet. Anything else that we can know? Again, Biden, it's surprising to me that how well Biden looks in these images. If you watch Biden, he doesn't seem even slightly dithering. He doesn't seem like he's suffering from Alzheimer's at all. Not at all. So that was a myth. That was another myth that we bought into, that somehow he's a stammering old man. And that was just a flat-out lie. You can go and watch Biden, and you can see that he's hiring really smart people. Look at his press secretary. What a genius woman she is. Notice the number of minorities and women that he's hired. These people are extremely intelligent and talented. And they will really make a great case for a more sensible future, and a future that is actually addressing the truth instead of falsehoods. It'll take a few years for this to sink in. That is, Republicans who are a little bit more reasonable will eventually come to after a couple of years, that Biden is solving problems. They'll eventually get there. It's not going to happen for all of them, but some of them are going to realize the practical reality of if you want anything done right now, you have to work with the Democrats, so you better get on board. It'll also become practically realistic that a lot of those people, they just need help. They need money, they need jobs, they need better education for their kids. They need to solve the problems of our society. So there's plenty of people in that group. And there's also plenty of young people who will one day be voters who are watching all of this unfold. And they can put a video of Biden next to a video of Trump. They can put a video of Trump's press secretary next to a video of Biden's secretary, and they will be making up their own minds for the long-term future. And this is really, really important. The crises that we are experiencing on the planet are not going to go away, and some of the powers are so enmeshed in our society that it will not be, this year that they will be dislodged. But, in the future generation, 20 years especially, they're really going to get going with the reality because they've seen these crises unfold on TV, and they will it just made an indelible impression on their minds of which side is really solving problems and which side is attacking our democracy. Okay? Thanks so much for watching.